Premium quality football shirts at an extremely affordable price. Sound good? If so, check out the sponsor of today's video, jerseyfifa.com. You can see that I've sent you some shirts and they really are top quality, so make sure to click the link in the description to go find a shirt for yourself or perhaps as a gift for someone else. And you can now use code jerseyfifa at checkout for 10% off your order. That's code jerseyfifa at checkout for 10% off your order. I really do recommend their product, so go take a look. Now let's get into the analysis. So around 9 months or so ago, Barcelona looked like they were in a really bad place, but then Xavi came into the club and took charge as manager. And since then the situation has improved, especially on the pitch, but Xavi still needs improvements. As a result, Barcelona acted quickly to bring the likes of Christensen and Kessie into the club on free transfers, and I'll look at their potential impact later in the summer, but for now I want to look at some other players that they could bring into the club. Because if you believe the great Fabrizio Romano, and I personally do, then it seems as though Barcelona are far from finished with their business, so I want to look at the 3 major rumours I've heard and look at how they would fit into this Barcelona team. So one player that Barcelona have been quite heavily linked with over the past month or so is Bernardo Silva of Manchester City, and I don't think too much needs to be said. This would obviously be an incredible signing because he is a wonderful player. Now for this transfer to happen, Barcelona probably need to offload Frenkie de Jong, and I do still think that will probably happen, although that whole situation is a bit of a mess. So rather than discussing that, let's look at what Bernardo would bring to the team. So to do this, I want to take a look at Bernardo Silva's FBref report from the past year, and I think the first thing that jumps out at you is how many dark green bars there are, and it's pretty clear that Bernardo is a brilliantly well-rounded technical footballer. Bernardo's technicality also makes him extremely versatile, and that's something we saw more than ever last season, as he ended the campaign almost playing as part of a double pivot alongside Rodri at the heart of the Manchester City midfield. Personally, I think the slightly deeper area in the midfield is where we would be most likely to see Bernardo at Barcelona, probably on the left hand side of a midfield 3, where he would be able to use his passing to help Barca to really dominate. As well as helping the team to dominate with his brilliant passing ability, Bernardo will also bring a real progressive mentality to this Barcelona team, as he constantly has his head on a swivel as he searches for ways to try and progress the ball. One way that Bernardo really likes to progress the ball is by dribbling forward, and this is where his natural low centre of gravity comes in extremely useful, as he is able to pick the ball up in deeper areas before then drifting past players to move forward. If Barcelona were to sign Bernardo this summer, then next year we would see them progressing the ball almost effortlessly at times, allowing them to get into the final third, from where Bernardo Silva's creativity will also be a massive plus to the team. Bernardo's creativity is something that has been clear since his days with Monaco, and it's something that Barcelona needs more of, although I also think that it's his all-round versatility and adaptability that make him such a good signing. On top of all of this, Bernardo is also an extremely hard-working player as well, and whilst his best play comes on the ball, he is more than happy to help his team from a defensive point of view, especially when it comes to pressing the opposition high up the pitch. This is of course something that we know Xavi demands, and with everything that I've said so far, it really does feel like Bernardo is a typical Barcelona player, and he certainly looks like a Xavi player, so I can see why they would want to make this move happen. Whether this move will actually happen or not I can't tell you, but I can tell you this: if Barcelona were to sign Bernardo Silva, then they would be getting themselves a simply phenomenal player, and the prospect of this happening is really quite exciting. Something else that is really exciting is the prospect of Raphinha coming into the club, and I think this is probably the most consistent rumour we've seen, because we've been hearing about these talks since early February, so it really has been going on for quite a while now. Something else we've been hearing about all summer is the potential for Ousmane Dembele to leave the club. As far as I'm aware, there is a contract on the table for him, it's just whether or not he accepts it, but for this video we'll assume he's going to leave. So if Dembele was to leave the club, then I think it's quite obvious that Barcelona see Raphinha as the ideal direct replacement, and I can certainly see why, because Raphinha is a player that loves to really hold the width for his side on the right hand side of the attack. Whilst Raphinha's desire to provide the width is clear, something that he doesn't get enough credit for is his work rate off the ball. Yes, he needs tactical refinement when pressing, but you certainly can't doubt the fact that he works incredibly hard. Again, this is something that would please Xavi and also the Barcelona fans, and I think they would also enjoy what he does on the ball as well, simply because he is such an exciting winger that is always looking to take on his man as often as possible. He's one of those rare players that is actually very often successful with these take-ons, regularly throwing in an outrageous piece of skill to beat his man, and again the fans will love this, because I think deep down every football fan loves some skill. As well as bringing a flair and excitement to the team, most importantly Raphinha will bring end product to the side, and again I don't think he actually gets enough credit for his creative side, but he's actually brilliant at setting up chances for his teammates. This is obviously something that Dembele done incredibly well last season, and Barcelona will be hoping that Raphinha is able to produce similar numbers, although if I'm being completely honest, I don't think Raphinha will be able to get as many assists. However, what I do think he'll bring is goals, and that's something that Dembele couldn't do last season, so whilst I do think that Raphinha will get less assists over the course of the season, I think he should be able to make up for it with his goal output. For these reasons, I do think that Raphinha is the ideal player to come into the team and take Dembele's role in the side, because stylistically he is quite similar to Ousmane Dembele, and it seems like that is something that Xavi really wants his team to have. So to me it does look like a pretty logical signing if they are able to do it, that is, because Raphinha is hot property this summer, with everyone seemingly interested in securing his signature, but at the moment it seems like Raphinha wants Barca. The only issue at the moment is cost, especially because of the fact that Barcelona are in an absolute financial crisis, although they always seem to find a way, one way or another, to spend £60 million on a new player, so they should be fine. Potentially their transfer business wouldn't stop there, because the other big transfer news we've been hearing is that they are absolutely desperate to bring Lewandowski into the club, and also actually that Lewandowski is desperate for the move to happen. Now from a tactical point of view, Lewandowski is the first player on this list that doesn't actually look like a natural fit, because whilst he is hard working, he isn't a very effective presser, which is something that Bayern have had to try and work around. However, with Lewandowski's ability on the ball, I think he is one of those players that you don't mind working around a little bit, because at the end of the day he is an absolutely incredible striker, and arguably the best goalscorer in world football. Now whilst he isn't a natural tactical fit off the ball, I do think he suits this team quite nicely in possession, because despite what a lot of people think, he is a player that likes to drop a little bit deeper to try and link the play with his attacking teammates. This is something that Lewandowski often looks to do, especially on the counter-attack, where he'll drop deep to three much faster wingers, and with the players currently at Barcelona, then this could be quite a deadly combo in the attacking transition. Now whilst Robert Lewandowski enjoys dropping into this deeper role at times, I think everyone would agree that his best work comes when he plays slightly higher up the pitch, and really plays within the width of the opposition's penalty area. Once in these positions, Lewandowski is one of the most dangerous players in the world because of his incredible movement, and he always waits for that moment when a defender looks at the ball for a split second before he makes his move off the back of them into space. And then of course, as long as the delivery is good enough, Lewandowski nearly always finishes his chances, and he's actually particularly brilliant in the air, regularly leaping above his centre back to power the ball into the back of the net with the header. This could potentially mean that he develops a nice link up and understanding with Raphinha on the right hand side. We know Raphinha wants to beat his man and then swing the ball into the box, and Lewandowski will absolutely love that sort of delivery. If given the chances, Lewandowski will score goals. It's as simple as that. It can be his left foot, right foot, a header, a volley, a back heel, it really doesn't matter. 9 times out of 10 Lewandowski will find a way to put the ball into the back of the net. And this is obviously backed up when we look at his stats, as he hit half a century for goals in all competitions last season, and he's been doing it for years now, hitting at least 40 goals in each of the last 4 seasons. He truly is a remarkable player. Ultimately, I think that's the reason Barcelona want to bring him into the club. Football's a simple game, you just have to score more goals than the opposition, and having a player like Robert Lewandowski in your team gives you a massive chance of doing just that. For that reason, I think it would be another really good signing. Yes, he does create a small problem when looking to press, but I'm sure Xavi can adapt to that, and if so, then Barcelona will have themselves one of the very best players in world football. Whether Barcelona are able to complete all these signings or not, I'm not quite sure, although I think it is probably a little bit unlikely. However, even if you just give Xavi 2 of these players, then I think it could massively help this current Barcelona team. Perhaps it would even give them a chance to battle for the title, but that's something I'll come back to in a few weeks' time. So make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss that video. But that is all for today. Thank you guys for watching, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I will of course see you guys in the next one.